Welcome to the Nobody Guide to Life, where we provide tips and tools for personal growth, personal development, and your spiritual journey that you can use right now in your everyday life. I'm J.A. Plosker. You can always find out more at thenobodyguidetolife.com, or you can check us out at Twitter and Facebook at Nobody's View, or join our Facebook group, Simple Spirituality. Thank you for joining us. Very soon, people in India, and, well, people around the world actually, will be celebrating the holiday of Diwali or Deepavali, the Festival of Lights. So the 5-day holiday is actually named for a row of clay lamps that folks light outside their houses to show that light really can triumph over darkness. So I want you to think about other holidays you may know where people use light as a beacon of hope. Think of your Jewish friends who celebrate Hanukkah, a festival of lights where Jewish people light a menorah to commemorate the rededication of the Holy Temple and to remind us all of the miracle that one day's supply of oil in the temple actually lasted for 8 days. Or think of Christmas, when the cold, dark nights lead the faithful to seek comfort in the dim glow of the church and the warmth of music and community. So go ahead and pause the podcast for a moment if you want and really solidify in your mind a time when you found warmth, light, or community in a festival like that. So what does Diwali represent? Well, a little research will show you that Diwali can mean different things to different people. So according to one article I read, for Hindus, Diwali represents the return of the deities Rama and Sita from exile. See, Sita was being held captive by a demon, and Rama and his army of animals won her freedom. So Rama and Sita could return home together. So the folks in their village were so happy about their return, they lit oil lamps to light the road back for them and to welcome them. And others who celebrate connect the holiday with the goddess of prosperity, Lakshmi, and the day of her birth. People clean, they decorate, new clothes are worn, people pray and eat sweets. But it's not just a holiday for Hindus to celebrate. See, Jains and Sikhs also celebrate the day with their own interpretations of what the day means. So for Jains, the holiday celebrates Lord Mahavira's attainment of moksha, or release from the cycle of rebirth. So Lord Mahavira was the person who brought Jainism into its current form, and Diwali honors his final teachings and liberation. And for Sikhs, Diwali celebrates the release from prison of Guru Hargobind, the sixth guru of Sikhism, and his release from prison. So his return is celebrated by lighting up the Golden Temple. So this is a really busy time of year for a lot of people in a lot of places. And there's so much more than we have time to cover on this show. So I've put some links in the show notes so that you can do a little more research on your own. And if you have friends who celebrate the holiday, take a moment to ask them what Diwali signifies for them. I'm sure they'd be happy to share stories of happiness that festivals like this can bring for all of us. But no matter the religious trappings or who is being celebrated during the festival, for many, Diwali is about the triumph of light over dark, about emerging from the shadow of ignorance and stepping into the bright light of knowledge. And that's a message we can all celebrate. It's a message we all should celebrate. That's the bridge that can connect us all, no matter what religious or spiritual leaning we may have or which deities we pray to. We need to find those points of connection now more than ever. And when these holidays and festivals arrive, it's a good time to get in touch with our neighbors and to see what we all have in common. And this light in the darkness metaphor is really a good place to start. It can really help us achieve that. You see, the idea of light conquering dark is as old as darkness itself. In the West, the Bible tells it this way. So it says, in the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. There it is, right there, out of the Bible, out of Genesis. A little connection for us here in the West. And there is so much in Eastern and Western religion and philosophy that captures our imagination and speaks to the importance of bringing light, of seeking knowledge that can light up the darker corners of our mind. So what is it about lighting something? Why does that concept of bringing light to a dark place bring us comfort? Well, we could say that this is some kind of universal striving for light for all living things, but is that really the case? In the animal world, we know there are creatures that are at their best in the dark. Nocturnal animals wait all day for their moment to arrive and then hit their stride under cover of darkness when many of us are just turning off the bedside lamp. And speaking of that, we all close our eyes to sleep. We know that nighttime is when we enter the world of dreams, which sometimes can be quite illuminating. So we know the dark isn't all bad, so to speak, but there's just something about darkness, something mysterious, something that brings out an anticipation of the light that we know has to be just around the corner. That light just has to be around the corner. So think about when the power goes out. What's the first thing most of us do? Probably go for a flashlight, find a candle, or if you were born more recently, get out the smartphone and use the flashlight you have on there. But we wait and wait for the light to come back on. And when it does, and everything in the house comes back to life, we feel like we've been brought back to life in some way, revived, saved. And maybe we even breathe a sigh of relief or say, yes. When I was younger, my family took trips to see caves, and I loved doing that. But there was always something so reassuring about knowing the path would eventually lead us back out into the sunlight and, of course, the gift shop. So it seems to be a primal urge to seek the light, to believe in the triumph of good over evil. And there's no shortage of evil in the world, is there? We've talked about that before on the show, but the theme comes up over and over again. Now, yes, I've read many of the same books you have. I know deep down that what we call evil or negative is often nothing more than a point of view, a preference. Some even say that life is nothing more than a play of illusion where good and evil dance on the same stage, and it's only our perceptions from the audience that distinguish between them. I get that. I do. But in day-to-day living, when, quote, bad things, unquote, happen, we want answers. We want to know why. We want to know why bad things happen to good people and why it seems evil prospers. We want to know why it seems to be that no matter how many people want peace, there are tyrants and power seekers worldwide who stir the negative emotions to hold power. Look, after all, when people are angry or scared, they'll flock to leaders who will protect them, even if it's the leaders causing the problem or creating the scare. We want to know why we have people in our lives who, it seems, the happier we get, the angrier they get. The better we do, the more resentful they become. They seem to be put in our lives to remind us that happy events and good fortune will always be met to some degree with sadness or anger. Maybe that's a good reminder that just on the other side of a candle is the darkness. Reminders like that keep us humble. There are plenty of answers to all of these questions. There are so many discussions we can have. There are newspaper articles and shows dedicated to giving those answers. They aren't necessarily easy answers, but there are answers that people give. But that's beyond today's show. The point is, in the business of everyday life, We just want to be happy. We just want to know that if we put all the philosophy and metaphysics aside, that the very basic common sense understanding of good and happy can triumph over bad and angry. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's what gets us to keep mean people at a distance. It's what inspires us to surround ourselves with warm folks and people who truly want to be happy right alongside us. So let's think about where this shift starts. Let's think about where the trail out of the cave to the light and the gift shop begins. So quite simply, it begins with us. In this season of light, for so many of our friends around the world, let's think about where the light starts. It's us. It's our hand that lights the candles. It's our eyes that glow when we look at the flickering flame. It's our prayers that ascend if we're inclined to make them. We have to be the agents of change. Look, anyone with any experience in life can tell you that you can't control everything, right? You know, in politics, you cast one vote. When it comes to the weather, you bring an umbrella. In the yard, you plant the tree and water it. But after that, well, after that, life takes its course. And so it is with bringing more light into the world. You smile at someone. After that, it's up to them to smile back. You hold the door open for someone. Whether they say thank you is a matter of their choosing. But the action you take or the word you say is what brings the light, not the response you get. See, festivals of light, at least I believe, they exist because they bring us hope. They take on grandiose meaning and become beacons in dark times. But houses of worship glow because someone flipped on the switch or human hands lit the wicks. It's our actions that bring about the transformation, not the day on the calendar. So here's this week's tip. Go into the world conscious of the change you want around you and be the agent of that change. You've no doubt heard that advice before. You've probably seen it on a bumper sticker or read it on a t-shirt. I certainly didn't make it up, but I'm giving it again. Be the light. Be the beacon. You already have the tools at your disposal. 2 hands and 1 mouth. And if you want to take it further, you can use your 2 ears to listen to someone else's troubles for a few minutes. You'd be surprised how much light that can bring into the world when we let another person process their darkness. So as we enter the season of festivals of light, whether or not you celebrate them, go out and get yourself a candle. Bring it home, put it in a safe place, in a stable candle holder, and light it after the sun goes down, consciously. Then speak something good into the flame. And if you're so inclined, go outside and look up into the night sky and see the stars shining. And remember, you have the power to be one speck of light shining in a sea of darkness. That brings us to the end of this episode of The Nobody Guide to Life. You can always find out more at thenobodyguidetolife.com, or you can reach out to us on Twitter and Facebook at Nobody's View, or join the Facebook community, Simple Spirituality. If you like what you hear on this podcast, please consider a review or a subscription. We'd really appreciate it. Keep practicing and have a good week.